Welcome to GAPI. What is GAPI? GAPI is a digital diagnosis tool to identify potential gender gaps. What we call gender gaps? Imagine a woman in mid-career. She has to take important professional decisions, but also personal decisions. She probably has an inherited model for which motherhood is the absolute priority. She thinks being a mother is important, however, she also wants to have a career. What is likely to happen? She may take a professional decision and then feel guilty for not having prioritized motherhood. Or she may lose the opportunity and then feel bad because she wanted a career. What happened there? The woman's inherited unconscious model probably had a gap with her aspirational models. This is what we call the gaps. And these gaps generate tensions. So those tensions hinder potential professional careers. Now, men also have pressures. Many men will very happily stay at home taking care of their children. However, their inherited model requires professional success, being a man. So those gender biases is what we try to identify in the GAPI tool. We can measure the gaps, we can measure the tensions, and give recommendations how to develop better, more integrated personal and professional careers. How GAPI was developed? We first gathered a group of international researchers from Canada, Colombia, Norway, Peru, Argentina, and Spain, and together we developed a research model. Then with this research model, we conducted some focus groups, research workshops, and ended up with a series of questions that we then integrated into a gamified digital tool in order to make like a very simple, attractive survey that can develop this diagnosis on what is the individual but also the collective gaps. This we could only do it thanks to a group of corporations such as IBM, Amadeus, Red Eléctrica or Ferrovial, who help us, allowing us to enter their companies and testing the different pilots of the tool. And of course all that could only happen with the support of the Alcoa Foundation and the OAC Foundation.
What we as women internalize this kind of prejudices, stereotypes, and mandates of our family, of the society, and which are the models that we have.
I think that the best thing that the instrument has is it addresses the unconscious. It goes to what people's beliefs are, which are turned into stereotypes, and so it really shows you, it surprises you. It surprised me. When you answer and you see the difference between what you think should be and what you do and how you behave and what you think is proper. So it brings out that unconscious, the unconscious biases and the behaviors and the beliefs. So it really can show you that, maybe I need to work on this.
I'm very excited about the GAPI project because I do believe it will help us identify the difference women see in their roles, whether it is in the workplace or in the family place. Hopefully it will provide women with a better understanding how to combine both, and also how to make sure we can break out of those stereotypes and biases and bring in men to be more in the caregiving roles at home as well.
Men and women that are in the situation where they're trying to do something for their business, society, but maybe even more for themselves.
One of the most interesting things that we have been able to discover through the research that involved the development and the usage of our GAPI tool has been related with the relationship between the tension gap and the gender respective behaviors. Let me introduce some of the most relevant findings. The first one is very incentive for us has been that it's possible to measure in a quite rigorous way both the gender tension and the gender gap. This is a very, very interesting thing because we take into account very, very different kind of behaviors, and the ability to measure and to put into a right context all of them has been extremely useful for us in order to explore the relationship between gender behaviors and gender stress. The second point is that we had a very interesting previous assumption, is that both in the home and work context there were a very clear relationship, a correlation between the perceived stress and the perceived gap. And for us it has been very, very surprising because this relationship is not so clear. Or let me explain better. There is no direct relationship between home tension and home gap and work tension and work gap. Our findings lead us to a more complex kind of relationship in which the home gap is closely related with the work tension, and just the opposite. In fact, it's not a linear relationship between the home context regarding tension and gap, but there is more a mix of the effect on the home and gap tension into the perceived tension in every kind of context. At the same time, there is another very interesting finding for us, is the relationship and the evolution of the tension and the gap regarding age of the participant. In this case, we have been able to identify very, very interesting patterns. And in this case, it's very, very satisfying to identify how different is the evolution of the gender gap and the tension, gender tension, in men and in women. There are absolutely different kind of evolution. In most of the companies, for example, that we have studied, the tension trend to decrease in women across the age. But in the men, both the pattern of tension gap and both the pattern of tension and gap is quite stable across the age. This is provide a very interesting insight in terms of the design of future politics and regarding how we can improve the perception of gap and overall the perception of gender tension in our lives. Apparently, the behavior in men and women is quite different, and because of that we have to address very different kind of measure in order to solve this kind of problem.
I encourage all of you to follow the instructions, make your own diagnosis. What is your gender bias and how can you overcome in case you have any? Thank you very much.